The sky was broken, full of smoke and red fire. The planet had once been beautiful, full of tall crystal trees and soft purple light. But now it was a place of death. Ships flew away, fast and loud, leaving behind the sound of war, explosions. Hit the ground, shaking everything. In the middle of this chaos, a small alien girl sat alone in the dust. Her name was Rila, and she was only 7 years old. She was not like other children. Her skin was soft silver. Her eyes glowed a little in the dark, and 2 small antennae moved gently on her head. She had no parents now, no friends, no family. Her people had left her behind, too weak, they said. Not worth the risk, so they ran, and they didn't look back. Rila watched the last ship fly away while hiding behind a broken wall. Her tiny hands were shaking, her face dirty, with tears and dust. All she could do was cry silently, afraid that the monsters would hear her. The monsters had come after the war started. They were not soldiers, not aliens from another planet. They were something worse, wild, hungry, and evil. Their skin was dark and rough. Their eyes red like burning coals. They hunted anything that moved. And now Rila was the only thing left on the ground. Every night she heard them, growling, roaring, sniffing the air. Sometimes they came close to her hiding place. She had to cover her mouth, stop breathing, and pray they would go away. She had not eaten in 2 days. Her small stomach hurt, and her lips were dry. She found some old food packs in a broken building, but they were empty. Water was hard to find too. And every step outside was dangerous. Rila was smart, even if she was little. She stayed low, she stayed quiet, and she learned to wait. But waiting alone was the hardest part. One morning, everything changed. She heard a new sound in the sky. It was not the monsters, not the ships of her people. It was something different. Slow, careful, searching. She crawled up to the top of a broken wall and looked into the smoke-filled sky. A small ship was landing. It looked strange, black metal, with a mark she had never seen before. It touched the ground near the ruins, and steam hissed from the sides. The door opened, and a figure stepped out. He was tall, covered in armor, and held something in his hand. A scanner, maybe, or a weapon. He moved slowly, checking the area. Then he stopped. He had seen her. Rila froze, her heart pounding. She wanted to run, but her legs didn't move. She had heard stories about humans. They were monsters to her. People said they destroyed planets, fought everyone, and took what they wanted. But this one didn't attack. He took off his helmet, and his face was not angry or cold. It looked tired but kind. He raised one hand slowly, palm open. "No need to run," he said gently. Though Rila didn't understand the words, his voice was calm, deep, like warm wind. She didn't move, but she didn't cry either. He took a small pack from his side and opened it. Inside was food, real food, fresh and warm. He placed it on a stone and stepped back. Then he pointed at the food and smiled. Rila looked at him, then at the food. Her stomach growled loudly. She took one slow step forward, then another, still watching him. Then she grabbed the pack and ran back behind the wall. The man didn't chase her. He just sat down and looked around, watching the sky. After a while, she peeked out again. He was still there, waiting, not moving. For the first time in many days, Rila felt something small in her chest. Hope, maybe, or something like it. But that moment didn't last. A low growl echoed through the ruins. The monsters had smelled something. They were close, too close. The human stood up quickly, scanning the area. Rila looked at him, then at the dark hallway behind her. She could hide again, but the man, he didn't know what was coming. She had a choice: run alone, or warn him. Her small voice trembled, but she shouted, "Behind you!" The human turned fast and saw the shadows moving. Red eyes, sharp teeth, long claws. The monsters were coming, and now they had both become the hunted. The wind howled through the broken buildings. Dust flew across the empty streets, and smoke from fires still rose into the sky. The monsters had vanished for now, but danger still filled the air. Rila sat quietly behind a wall, hugging the warm food packet the human gave her. It smelled strange, not like her people's food, but it filled her empty belly. She ate in silence, her eyes never leaving the strange man. He sat just a few meters away, watching the sky. He didn't speak, didn't move, didn't look at her. But he didn't leave either. His armor was dark, scratched and dirty from battle. A symbol glowed on his shoulder, a blue circle with stars inside it. She didn't know what it meant, but somehow it didn't feel like a threat. His name was Marcus Reed, though she didn't know that yet. He had landed here by accident, following a signal. He was not a hero, not a soldier anymore. He was just a man who had seen too many wars, lost too many people, and now, somehow, found a silver-skinned child alone on a dead world. He looked at her again, slowly, carefully. Not like someone looking at a target, but like someone looking at a puzzle, soft and scared. He opened a small device and spoke not to her, but to his log recorder. "Planet surface unstable," he said calmly. "Signs of intelligent life, one juvenile. Alien origin, female, appears injured, abandoned." Rila didn't understand the words, but she saw his lips move gently. No shouting, no threats, just soft sound, like rain after a long storm. He pulled something from his side, a small round ball. He pressed it once, and a tiny hologram appeared. It showed her Rilla, with a red blinking dot over her. She gasped, afraid, and took a step back, but he quickly turned it off and placed it on the ground. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said, then slowly tapped his chest. "Marcus," then he pointed at her. Raising an eyebrow, she looked at him, confused. He smiled slightly and tapped his chest again. "Marcus," then pointed at her again after a few seconds. She whispered something. "Rila." It was quiet, unsure, but clear. The man nodded. "Rila," he repeated, trying not to break the sound. Something happened in that moment. A tiny connection, built not from words, but from silence and eyes and patience. But the peace didn't last. A sound echoed from the north, loud, metallic, heavy. Marcus stood up fast, pulling his weapon and checking his scanner. More creatures? Drones? Aliens? He didn't know. He looked at Rila and raised one hand, palm up, a signal to wait, to stay low. She nodded, now trusting him just a little. He moved like a shadow, careful but strong. Rila followed, keeping close behind. They slipped through a broken wall into a dark hallway. The air smelled like metal and burnt oil. The building was part of an old factory. Machines stood still, covered in dust. Marcus pointed to a hidden corner and motioned her to hide. Then he walked forward alone, slowly, carefully. She watched him disappear into the dark. Minutes passed, maybe more. Then she heard something, a loud bang, and a sharp cry. She wanted to run, wanted to hide deeper, but her feet moved toward the sound, toward the man who gave her food, the man who said her name. She found him in a side room, kneeling beside a broken drone. Smoke rose from its core, and his weapon was still hot. He turned and saw her, and for the first time, he looked surprised. "You followed me?" he said softly, then shook his head with a smile. "Brave kid." He took a small square device and pressed it against the drone. A screen lit up with symbols. "This was scanning for survivors," he muttered, "but not to save them." Rila didn't know what he meant, but she felt the fear return. He looked at her seriously now. "You can't stay here," he said. "They'll come back, and they won't leave you behind again." He stood and reached out his hand, not as a stranger now, but as someone offering more, protection, maybe, or hope. Rila stared at his hand, then slowly, carefully, she placed hers into it. It was cold, rough, but steady. And for the first time in her short life, she felt safe. But above them, in the sky, another ship appeared. This one not human, not friendly, and inside it, someone was watching her location. Her own people were coming back, not to save her, but to erase their shame. The sun never rose on this ruined world. Only the red light of burning skies gave any warmth. Marcus and Rila stood at the edge of the old city. Behind them were ruins, monsters, and smoke. Ahead, Silence, but not peace. Only the dead zone. It stretched across the center of the planet. Blackened land, broken roads, and shattered towers. No trees, no animals, no life, just the cold wind, and the memory of what once stood there. Dead zone, Marcus whispered to himself, looking at his scanner. No heat signals, no movement, no structures. Perfect. He didn't mean it was safe. He meant no one would follow them here, not yet. Rila walked beside him quietly. Her small feet made soft sounds on the cracked road. She held a small pouch of water he gave her. Holding it tight like treasure, she still didn't speak much, but her eyes watched everything. Curious, alert, maybe even brave. Not much farther, Marcus said, though he knew it wasn't true. He had no real map, only guesswork, but he had to keep her moving. The drone he destroyed was a scout. That meant more were coming, and her people. They weren't coming to rescue her. They were coming to erase a mistake. The silence was heavy in the dead zone. Even the wind seemed careful not to make too much noise. Marcus kept his weapon ready, but he had a feeling it wasn't monsters he should fear now. It was machines, watchers, eyes from the sky. They moved through a twisted tunnel of metal and glass. Old signs written in alien language hung from broken poles. Once this had been a center of trade. Now only ghosts remained. Rila stopped suddenly. She pointed to a wall, symbols carved into stone. Marcus knelt beside it, brushing away. Dirt, what is it? He asked. She touched her chest gently. Then the symbol. This was your home? He guessed. She nodded once, then looked away, as if the memory hurt. They kept walking. Hours passed, or maybe less. Time felt slow here. Marcus's scanner beeped once. A weak signal. Underground, maybe power, maybe danger. But it was their only chance for shelter. They climbed down through a collapsed tunnel. Into a lower level. It was dark, cold, but safe for now. Lights flickered weakly on the walls. Backup energy still alive after all this time. This place is holding together better than the surface, Marcus said, half to himself. He set up a small camp heating unit. Energy shield, motion sensor. Rila sat across from him, legs crossed, watching his every move. He took out a small device and played a voice recording. A child's laugh came from it. His daughter, long gone, lost in another war, another time. Rila tilted her head. He looked at her and smiled softly. She laughed just like you, he said. The alien girl said nothing, but something in her eyes softened. Then, a sound, metal scraping against stone. Far away, but coming closer. Marcus turned off the heater, grabbed his weapon. The sensor blinked. Movement detected. But not from the surface. Below them, something was waking up. He motioned to Rila, stay still, stay quiet. But she pointed toward a second tunnel. A narrow path, almost hidden. She had seen it before. Long ago when she lived here. She grabbed his hand and pulled gently. He followed. Trust. It was growing, quietly between them. They ran through the side tunnel. Lights blinking above them. Behind them, heavy footsteps echoed. Slow but strong. Whatever it was not human, and it was not friendly. The tunnel opened into a chamber. Once a storage room, now a graveyard of metal. Machines broken and twisted, half alive. Marcus used his scanner, found a heat vent leading to the surface. We go up, he whispered. But just as he lifted Rila toward the opening, crash. The wall behind them exploded. A massive machine creature stepped in. It was once a worker unit, now mutated by alien tech. Its eyes glowed red. Its body cracked with dark energy. Marcus fired, short, sharp blasts. The creature roared and slammed a metal arm down, missing them by inches. Rila screamed, not in fear, but in warning. She threw a piece of metal at the creature's head, distracting it for 1 second. That was enough. Marcus jumped, grabbed her, and pulled them both through the heat shaft. Fire scorched behind them, but they made it, rolling out into the open air, gasping. The surface was quiet again. The machine was trapped below. For now Marcus looked at her, breathing hard. You. Saved us, he said. Rila just smiled a little. Then for the first time she spoke clearly, friend. And from a satellite above, a signal was sent, not from Rila's people, not from monsters, but from something older, deeper, something watching them both. Asterisk. The wind had changed. It smelled different now, not just smoke or dust, but metal, ash and danger. Marcus and Rila stood on a hill, looking down at the old human base. It was half buried under broken rock and sand. The walls were cracked, antennas bent, but somehow a red light blinked from inside. A distress beacon. Still active, still calling into space. Marcus stared at it for a long moment. That signal's been running for years. He said quietly. No one answered. Rila stood beside him, silent, her silver skin catching the dull light. She didn't understand his words, but she felt the meaning. Loneliness. Not just hers anymore. His too. They climbed down toward the old base. Every step echoed. Every sound seemed too loud. The outside doors opened slowly with a painful screech. Inside was cold, dark, and empty, but not dead. Small lights blinked on the walls. A low hum filled the air. The base was alive. Just barely. Backup power's still on, Marcus whispered. He walked ahead, checking corners, gun ready. Rila followed. Closer now, not afraid of him anymore. The control room was a mess. Chairs broken, wires hanging like vines. A single screen still worked, showing a flashing message. No response. From command, signal active -2,291 days. Marcus sat down slowly in front of it. Almost 5 years. 5 years since the battle, since the retreat, since Earth lost contact with this place. He touched the console, wiped the dust away. Maybe they forgot about us, he said, then looked at Rila, just like they forgot. About you. She didn't reply. Instead, she looked around, exploring the walls, the lights, the machines. And then, she stopped. She touched a glowing panel, and something strange happened. The machine reacted to her. The light changed color. Blue to green. Marcus turned around fast. What did you do? Rila stepped back, scared. I don't know, she said in a soft voice. The words were simple, broken, but real. Marcus blinked. You speak English? She nodded slowly. Little, only little. He smiled for the first time in days. You're full of surprises, kid. But their moment didn't last. The base shook, not from inside, but from outside. An alarm beeped, loud and sharp. The scanner on Marcus's arm lit up red. Multiple heat signals, fast approach. Not monsters this time, not machines, ships, alien ships. Her people. Rila's eyes widened in fear. They come, she whispered. My people, they come. Marcus looked at her. Do they want to save you? He asked, already knowing the answer. She shook her head. No, they want silence. They want to hide me. Shame, she was their shame. Abandoned, left behind. A secret they didn't want the galaxy to see. Marcus stood, face hard now. Well, he said, charging his weapon. They'll have to go through me first, Rila. Step forward. I fight too, she said, her voice shaking but steady. You sure? Marcus asked. She nodded once. I learn. From you. The alien ships landed with thunder. Soldiers in sharp armor poured out. Weapons ready, cold eyes scanning the area. They expected fear, surrender, maybe silence, but not fire. Marcus opened a secret panel in the base wall. Inside. Old human weapons, hidden tech, prototype gear. He handed Rila a small shield. Hold this, don't drop it. He strapped on a heavy exoframe, lights blinking on his arms. His eyes burned now, not with anger, but with purpose, human strength, human fire. They waited near the main gate, side by side. As the first alien stepped in, Marcus raised his hand. One chance, he said. Turn back. The alien didn't speak. He raised his weapon. And then Marcus moved. Faster than expected. Stronger than believed. He fired, shielded, pushed, fought like the monster they feared him to be. Rila ducked and defended herself, using the shield as he taught her. But then, Something in her mind clicked. Power, light, heat. She raised her hand and a small wave of blue energy shot forward. The alien stumbled, confused. Marcus looked back, shocked but smiling. You really are learning. But the battle wasn't over. More soldiers entered the base. More noise, more fire, more shadows. The control room shook again. Fall back, Marcus yelled. We hold the core room. They ran through the halls, sealing doors behind them. Rila's breathing was fast, her heart pounding, but she wasn't crying anymore. She was standing fighting in the final room, surrounded by light and heat. Marcus looked at her. You're not their shame, he said. You're their warning. Outside the base, a message was being sent into deep space. Not from the distress beacon, but from a new source, human and alien together. One word echoed across the stars. Resist. The base was holding, but just barely. Smoke filled the hallways, and sparks rained from broken lights. Rila leaned against the wall, catching her breath, her silver skin bruised and burned. Marcus stood beside her, reloading his weapon with shaking hands. You good? He asked. She nodded, eyes wide, scared, but still standing. They had survived wave after wave of soldiers, but it was not over. The real danger was only now approaching. A signal came through the base's dying screen. Marcus pressed a button, and a voice came through, alien, sharp, cold. This is High Officer Krell of the Elyari Dominion, it said. You are harboring a traitor child and violating our territory. The voice paused. Surrender the asset or face full elimination, Rila's hands began to tremble. I know that voice, she whispered. He is the one who left me, her commander, the one who looked at her like trash, the one who gave the order, leave her. Marcus looked at her, his jaw tight. Then he's not getting you back, he said. He stepped up to the old base's speaker system. This is Captain Marcus Reed of Earthfleet Recon, he replied. She's not a traitor. He looked at her, then back at the mic. She's braver than any of you. There was no answer, only silence then. A loud, unnatural boom outside the base. They've brought a siege unit, Marcus muttered. We won't survive another hour without backup. He activated the emergency console, typing fast, sending signal to human fleet. He said, but it'll take time. Rila stood close beside him. If humans come, will they take me too? She asked. Marcus looked at her carefully. Only if you want, he replied. She nodded once. But then, the sensor pinged again, and what it showed made Marcus go still. Another group approaching, not alien, not Elyari, but human. Rila stepped closer, confused. Your people? Marcus checked the signal twice. Yes. But they're not from the fleet. Mercs, he growled. Scavengers. Pirates. They must have tracked the signal. He cursed under his breath. Now we've got enemies on both sides. Outside, the Elyari soldiers formed a wall. Weapons charged, ready to destroy everything. On the other side, the human mercs circled like vultures, laughing into open channels. Give us the tech, old man, one voice said. And we won't torch the place. They didn't care about Rila or Marcus. They just wanted loot. In the middle stood the old base, cracked, tired, bleeding light. Inside, Marcus grabbed 2 pulse grenades and handed one to Rila. Do you know what this is? He asked. She nodded slowly. Boom, he smiled. Just a little, exactly. They set traps through the hallways, smoke mines, shock turrets, energy snares. Today we hold, Marcus said, or we make sure they remember us. The attack came fast, doors exploded inward, and both groups stormed in, humans from one side, aliens from the other. Confused, they clashed in the center. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, screams, sparks. Rila ducked and moved between shadows, throwing grenades with sharp aim. She was small, but fast. And now, powerful, energy pulsed from her hands again, stronger this time, more controlled. She had no weapon. She was the weapon. Marcus fought like a storm, calm, brutal, unstoppable. He used every wall, every light, every wire in the base. Years of war had trained him for this. But now, he wasn't fighting to survive. He was fighting for someone else. Rila found herself face to face with a familiar soldier, Elyari, armor marked with the same crest from the ship that left her. He aimed his weapon at her. "You should have died," he said coldly. Before he could fire, she raised her hand and light burst out. A wave of energy threw him back through the wall. She didn't cry, she didn't run. She stood, her heart pounding like thunder. Marcus arrived a second later, breathless. "You okay?" She nodded. "I am strong," she said softly. He knelt beside her. "You're more than that," he replied. "You're alive, and that scares them." The base trembled again, this time not from an attack, but from above. They both looked. Up, through a broken ceiling panel, a light appeared in the sky, a fleet, human ships. Coming in fast, big, loud, and angry. The real Earth fleet had received the signal. They were coming, and they brought fire. The mercs fled, shouting. The Elyari scrambled to retreat, but Marcus and Rilla stayed where they were. They had earned this moment, not by running, but by standing. The Earth ships landed with thunder, doors opened, and soldiers in shining armor stepped out. One commander removed his helmet and stared at the girl. "Is that her?" he asked. Marcus nodded. "She's the reason we're still alive." And in that moment, humanity met the future, not in fear, but in respect. The sky above the ruined planet had finally changed. Where once there had been only fire and smoke, now there were stars again. Ships from Earth hovered in orbit, shining like silent protectors, but on the ground. The war wasn't over yet. Rila stood on a metal platform, staring out over the wrecked battlefield. Her silver skin was marked with soot, her hands covered in bruises, but in her eyes, something new had awakened. Not fear, not sadness, but strength. Around her, the old human base was being repaired. Marcus spoke with Earth soldiers, giving reports, sharing data, but he kept looking back at her, always making sure she was there, always watching her, like a father watching a child who had stopped crawling and started to run. She could feel something changing inside her. Since the last battle, her body had been different. Energy moved under her skin like a quiet river. When she closed her eyes, she could feel the metal walls breathing, the broken systems humming, the weak machines whispering. She didn't understand it, but she didn't fear it anymore. Voice behind her broke the silence. "You're not just a girl anymore, are you?" It was Marcus, walking slowly toward her, holding 2 small food packs. He handed her one. She didn't take it at first. "I'm not hungry," she said quietly. He sat down beside her. "You slept only 3 hours." He said, "You haven't eaten." "I'm fine," she replied, her voice distant. "You're changing," he said gently. "And that scares you." Rila looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "I was made to be silent," she whispered. "A tool, maybe, or a secret, but not this." Marcus nodded. "You're becoming what they feared, something they can't control." She looked down at her hands. "I don't know what I am." "You're Rila," he said. "And that's enough." She turned her head toward him. "But what if I hurt someone?" "Then I'll be there to stop you," he said without hesitation. "And if I lose control?" "Then I'll remind you who you are." She blinked slowly. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "I don't want to be alone again," she whispered. Marcus gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "You won't be," he said. "Not as long as I'm breathing." The moment was quiet, soft. Then the alarm rang, not a big threat, but a warning. Movement outside the safe zone. Old patrol bots left behind by the Elyari had activated again. 2 soldiers from Earth tried to disable them, but one was hit by a blast. Shouts echoed through the base. Rila stood up fast. "I can stop them," she said. Marcus stepped forward. "No, I'll go," but she shook her head. "No," she said. "Let me try." Without waiting for orders, she moved through the halls. Faster than before, her feet barely made a sound. The 2 patrol bots stood near the outer gate, glowing red, weapons ready. Earth soldiers were pinned down behind cover, unable to escape. Rila stepped into the open. One bot turned toward her. Targeting her chest, it charged a blast, but she raised her hand, calm, focused. The energy inside her responded. Blue light glowed around her fingers. The bot fired. She caught the blast. Her power absorbed it like water into cloth. The soldiers stared in disbelief. Rila stepped closer to the machines and spoke not in English, not in Eliari, but in something deeper, the language of energy, of thought. The machines hesitated. Their lights flickered, then they lowered. Their weapons, power radiated from her, but it wasn't wild, it was controlled. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving. She was choosing. Marcus arrived behind her. Breathless, he saw the bots shut down, saw the light fade from her hands, and he smiled. "You did it," he said. Rila turned to him, unsure. "I didn't break them." "No," he said. "You made them listen." Later that night, the Earth commander called for a meeting. They had seen what she could do. Some of them were afraid, others were amazed. "She's not human," one officer said. "She's not Eliari either," Marcus replied. "She's better. She's the bridge." The commander turned to Rila. "You don't have to stay here," he said. "There's a ship ready to take you anywhere." Rila looked at Marcus, then back at the stars. "I want to go with him," she said softly. "I want to learn what it means to be more." And as the base settled into quiet again, and the night wrapped around the stars, one small alien girl sat beside a tired human soldier, eating old food packs and talking about Earth, laughing, softly, for the first time in her life. Not a weapon, not a secret, but something more. The stars above the planet burned brighter than ever, as if the universe itself was watching. The Earth fleet stayed in orbit, silent and ready. But on the ground, Marcus and Rila were preparing for something far more personal, a final storm. A last stand, deep beneath the surface, something had awakened. Not alien, not human, but something old, something built to destroy. It had been sleeping since the war, a hidden weapon left by the Eliari, one final order still buried in its code. Eliminate all witnesses. The Earth scanners picked it up. Too late. By the time the warning came through, it was already moving. A fusion of machine and monster, massive, crawling, with glowing tendrils that tore through metal like paper. Marcus looked at the screen in the command room, estimated. "Time to impact, 7 minutes, the AI said. He turned to Rila. "You don't have to stay for this," he told her. But she shook her head before he finished the sentence. "I'm not leaving you," she said. "Not now, not ever." The others, Earth officers, engineers, medics, began evacuating. The base, dropships took off one by one, but Marcus and Rila stayed together, one old soldier, one rising star. The base shuddered as the machine approached. Walls cracked, lights flickered. Rila stood at the center of the command floor. Her eyes closed, she was listening, not to sound, but to the hum of the world beneath her. She could feel the enemy coming. She could feel the fear, but she stood still. Marcus prepared the last of the charges, explosive traps, set in a perfect circle. "This is our line," he said. "We don't let it pass." Rila opened her eyes, and they glowed brighter than ever before. "I can stop it," she whispered. "Not alone," Marcus said. "We do it together." Then came the sound, a deep growl that shook the floor. The creature smashed through the underground wall, metal, legs stabbing through the dirt, its head twisted, covered in wires and eyes. It roared, not like an animal, but like a broken god. Marcus fired first. A blast of plasma hit the creature's side. It turned, striking back with an energy pulse that threw him across the room. He hit the wall hard, coughing, but alive. "Still here," he groaned. "Still annoying." Rila stepped forward. Her hands raised, power poured from her like a wave. Blue light circled her body. The creature attacked again, but she didn't move. She caught the energy with her hands, bent it, broke it, and pushed it back. The explosion lit the chamber like a new sun. The creature stumbled but kept coming. Marcus pulled himself up and stood beside her again. Together, he reminded her. She nodded. And they fought, human fire and alien light, side by side. Every blow they landed, every second they survived. The thing got weaker, slower, until finally it stopped. It let out one last cry and collapsed into smoke and sparks. The ground went quiet. The lights returned to normal. It was over. Marcus dropped to one knee, exhausted. Rila knelt beside him. "You okay?" she asked. He looked at her and smiled. "I've been through worse," he lied. She smiled back. "Liar!" Outside, the last ship returned to land. The Earth commander stepped out again. He walked through the ashes and rubble and found them standing together. "You two just saved everyone," he said. Marcus shrugged. "She did most of it." Rilla shook her head. "We did it together," the commander nodded. "There's a place for you on Earth. Both of you," he said. "A new home, if you want it." Rilla looked up at Marcus. She didn't need words. He gave her a small nod, and that was enough. They stepped onto the ship, hand in hand. The stars waited for them above. But Rilla turned for one last look at the planet, the place where she had been abandoned, hunted, forgotten, and then found. She took one deep breath and whispered, "Goodbye." Inside the ship, she sat beside Marcus as the stars moved past the window. "Will Earth be scary?" she asked. He smiled. "It's loud, messy, and full of crazy people." She tilted her head. "That sounds fun." He laughed softly. "It can be. But it's also a place where second chances are real." She looked out the window, and for the first time, she didn't feel like a lost child. She felt like something new. A survivor, a fighter, a daughter. Not just an alien girl, not just a secret, but a spark in the dark. Rila, the girl who rose and chose to live.